And there you have it. This is AI chasing your candidates for you. Research has shown that recruitment consultants dedicate between 50% and 70% of their time to administrative tasks. One of these tasks is chasing candidates to provide their availability. So this is how you let AI chase your candidates for you. To do this, I am heading to Make and I've clicked create a new scenario. I have labelled this scenario simply chase candidate availability. And of course, we need a trigger to kick off this scenario, aka our automation. So if I click the plus icon, I am going to trigger this with Google Sheets. The action is going to be search rows. As you can see here, my Google Sheets account is already connected. However, if yours wasn't, you would just need to go through the process of doing that. We can leave search method as it is, select from my drive. The spreadsheet is actually called Candidate Availability Recruitment. So before we go any further, I will show you that spreadsheet to understand what we are working with. So this is the spreadsheet, a very simple spreadsheet that simply states the candidate's name, the candidate's email address, and whether or not they have provided their availability with a simple drop-down box here, a yes or a no. So for the purpose of this example, all the fake people in this spreadsheet have provided their availability. However, me in row 2, I have not. This means I will be able to successfully test with myself chasing candidate availability for those who have not provided it. Now we are back in Make. The sheet name is sheet 1. The table does contain headers. Yes, the column range will leave as it is. We don't need to add a filter. We'll leave order by and sort order, and we'll just set the limit as 5. Then we'll hit save. So before we move any further, it's always good practice to test to make sure every module in our scenario works successfully. So I'm going to click on it and click run this module only. So here is the input, the output. And as you can see, it has found my name, my email address, whether or not I have provided my availability, which is a no, our second person, our third person, and our fourth person. So we know this part of our scenario can successfully pull data from the spreadsheet. Before we move any further, I just want to draw your attention to this clock here. If we click on the clock, this means we can schedule our scenario to run whenever we like. So at the moment it's set at regular intervals every 15 minutes. But for this example, I'm going to set it to run every day. Regarding time, let's say we want to chase our candidate's availability before we've even woken up, before we've even gotten out of bed. So we can change this to 5 AM and then hit save. We don't want to activate the scenario just yet as we are not finished, so we'll click not yet. So this module within our scenario works successfully. Now we can add a second module. Our second module is going to be Gmail. If it didn't pop up automatically, you would just need to search it in the search modules here. And the way that we want the availability chased is by sending an email. So we'll click send an email. And here we can configure the settings within this Gmail module. But before we do that, I actually want to X off this box and draw your attention to this spanner here. When we click on the spanner, we have the option to set up a filter. As we only want the candidate availability chased via email for the candidates that actually haven't provided their availability, aka in the spreadsheet that I showed you, under that column it says no, we only want to filter through to the next step those candidates. There's no point chasing availability for candidates that have already provided it. So we can click set up a filter. The label can be candidate availability. Now we need to set a condition. So under what conditions is the candidates filtered through in order to move on to the next step in our automation, or in Make's terminology, the next module in our scenario. So here we're going to actually do something called mapping. So if we click on this text box, the condition will be when the availability provided, and this goes for any candidate in our spreadsheet, is equal to no, which means of course they haven't provided their availability, then only those people will continue through onto our next step of being chased for their availability via an email. So that's our filter set up, and we can hit save. I'm just going to pull this out. And now we can set up the Gmail module within our scenario. As you can see, my Google account is already connected. If yours isn't, you would have to go through the process of setting that up. Now we can add a recipient, and this is where we can also map data in that was previously pulled from the spreadsheet. This of course helps you to avoid entering all the email addresses manually of the people who haven't provided their availability, which of course would defeat the purpose of letting AI do it for you. So we'll click add a recipient, click on the text box, and we will take from the spreadsheet the candidate email address. The subject can be urgent reminder regarding availability, and equally we could do some mapping here and put in the candidate's name. So if the email was to pop up on their phone, it would be a subject line that also contained their name. But for this example, we'll just leave it as it is. Next, we can move on to the body of the email, which is content. So we can write, hey, and then insert the candidate's name. So if we click on the box, we can select candidate name, enter a comma. And one thing I want to draw your attention to now is the fact that we can use HTML tags. So in order to create a line break within our email, so it's not a bunch of text squashed together, we can simply add a small bit of HTML. So as you can see here, I've added 2 of the same HTML tags. This will mean there will be one line break and then a second line break in order to have the hey candidate name, a space, and then start the new sentence. Now moving on to the next line. This can be as simple or as complex as you like. However, I'm simply going to write, this is a reminder. You need to provide your availability ASAP. If you have any questions, please let me know immediately. Then we will enter 2 more line breaks. I'll simply put kind regards. Then we just need 1 line break, Mia Wilkins. And that is our email signed off. We don't need to add any attachments to it, so we will simply click save. Now this is our scenario complete. So as I said, we just need to test it to make sure it works. So if I come down here and click run once, this step in the module should first look at our candidate availability spreadsheet, then filter through the data to only pass through the people who have not provided their availability, to then send them an email in order to do so. So let's click run once. As you can see, it's running and the test is complete. So you can see here there's a 1 on the filter. The bundle stands for the different people in our spreadsheet. So as you can see, it does need to pass through me because I was the first person in that spreadsheet because I have not provided my availability. It didn't need to pass through the second person because they have. Equally with the third person and the fourth person, they both provide their availability. So it just passed through me, which shows that our filter worked. Now I just need to check my email to make sure I have received the email that I am being chased to provide my availability. And there you have it. This is AI chasing your candidates for you. A personalized email requesting availability ASAP, and also if they have any questions to contact you immediately. All done without you lifting a finger and before you've even woken up and gotten out of bed. And as you can see, it is also formatted successfully. It has included our line break so that it wasn't a bunch of text squashed together. So clearly a successful run of our scenario. Now heading back into Make, all I would need to do was turn it on so that this would run daily at 5 a.m. And all the recruitment consultant would need to do is that every time they get a new candidate, is to add their name, their email address into the spreadsheet, and whether or not they have provided their availability for that week, for example. If you do have any questions, pop them in the comments. Otherwise, feel free to hit subscribe as I continue to explore the capabilities of AI automation.